this meeting, and none of that other
You
stuff.
might want to like connect and reconnect to the audio. You're echoing.
Am I? Let me mute my. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear my echo still?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to remove myself, so we'll be all right. So just to remind people, when we do open it up for comments, you need to use your hand function for the computer for the visual, and you need to do *9 if you are calling in. Okay. I'm gonna remove this person. Okay, so let me show the agenda. Everyone, 1 second. Okay, commissioners, this is the agenda. Let me tell you what we have removed. We have removed 441 M Street. We're going to table that. And we have removed the bike lane for K Street. That has been removed. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Oh, and I'm sorry. We've also added the Office of Peace Counsel for DC policies.
Commissioner Marriott, were you deleting the 476K item?
No.
Or were we protesting that?
Yeah, we were going to vote to protest.
Okay, sorry about that.
No.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay,
As
Second.
amended.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Thanks, Frank. Okay, so first for 3D will not be calling in. That is the area that is north of New York Avenue. That is the police department north. They will not be calling in to see what's going on. And I saw Captain Duro, I think. There he is. Yeah, whoop. Go ahead and mute yourself, Captain.
Think I'm good? Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for having me. I'm glad I had an opportunity to check in with you guys. It's been a very busy few days for us. A lot of unfortunate events occurring, especially in I guess for you, it's the Mount Vernon Triangle neighborhoods. I've been out there a bit. I was just looking at some of your crime. We have had some crime as well. There was a shooting in front of the shelter a few nights ago. I think that was Friday night. And some incidents at the Walmart and also at the 7-Eleven on K Street in Northwest. So those are the significant incidents that have occurred in your area, some robberies, some assaults with a dangerous weapon. Like I said, the shooting, and then of course the protests and the looting that we're dealing with on a nightly basis right now. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know that I realize that's very general. I haven't had a whole lot of time to research specifics for your ANC, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the captain? This is for the area, this is 1D, this is for the area that's south of New York Avenue.
Well, for the shooting that's gone on and some of the other crimes, have you made any arrests?
Yes. So there was an argument in front of the shelter, and gun was brandished, and one subject was shot. Someone returned fire on the subject that had fired the original shot and struck someone who was in the vehicle with that person as they drove away. They drove up to Florida Avenue and contacted us there. So we had 2 arrests, one for the original, what ended up being a robbery. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So it was an attempted robbery, which has led to the gun brandishing, the first shot, and then the multiple shots afterwards. So pretty concerning incident there, that there's, multiple weapons out in front of the shelter, and, robbery There was some drug activity as well that was connected to that incident. So, but we did close it with 2 arrests. There were some other people involved that we're still trying to identify. Luckily, no one died. One person received a gunshot wound. The other person received a gunshot wound to the leg. I'll note too that everyone involved in that was COVID positive, so that, you know, adds another layer of complication to all these things we're dealing with nowadays. But we were out there that night. I gotta say, we were giving. We had a police presence out there. I was not particularly concerned about the shelter that evening. Obviously, we should have been. And, we are in the process of reestablishing our homeless outreach officers. We had one that was very active, Officer Novetsky. Some of you might have met her. She moved on from the department, so we're looking for a few more officers in the process of reestablishing that to, as we move into the summer, to have a presence and that's interacting with the homeless community.
Question for you, Captain, about the incident in the 7-Eleven. Was that inside or outside of the establishment?
Yeah, it was outside. As you might be aware, we worked with the Mount Vernon Cigs to get a security guard in the 7-Eleven, which we have now overnight, which has been very helpful. And but we still have been seeing some incidents there, even with the security guard. This was a robbery that occurred. Ironically, 2 officers were in the 7-Eleven when it happened. So it happened right around the corner in front of the liquor store on 5th Street. And it was one subject that had some money he was counting. Another subject approached him and demanded that money, threatened him, and he turned it over. Those 2 individuals are also kind of connected to the homeless community that hangs out in that area and over by the shelter. So another incident involving that community. And again, reiterating my point that we are standing up some specifically focused with them, because, you know, they're vulnerable, they're targeted, both they're victims, you know, as well as suspects in a lot of these cases. So we definitely want to look out for them and have a connection there.
I'll just remind my colleagues that that outdoor seating at the 7-Eleven, which was very contentious. Well, hate to say I told you so, but told you so.
Well, Alex, I don't know about that statement, but you can say that. So I actually invited the 7-Eleven representative to the meeting, and maybe he can comment. Is my 7-Eleven rep on the call? You can raise your hand, use a little raise your hand feature, or press *9. Is he on the call? No. Ed and Marcus, do you see him? I don't see him. He was going to explain their new security. Okay, so doesn't look like it. All right, any other questions from the commissioners? Oh, no, that's not him. Okay, so any other questions from the commissioners for the captain?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
307 Plaza West. There was a shooting in there, right? What happened to that? Was somebody hurt? I believe one man got shot.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. You said 307?
I said 307 Plaza West. The building, it was a few days ago where a man got shot. Shot going in the building or running into the building.
Okay, give me the exact address. 307 what?
307 K Street.
Oh, 307, right. Well, let me pull that up. I'm trying to remember the details. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, back to me now. That's the Grand Family's building. We did not have a lot of details on that. The victim in that case was completely uncooperative with us, would not give us any details. That's the last I heard. I have not heard any updates. We did recover some video footage, so we have a pretty good lookout of the suspect that we've disseminated to our officers. But as to what led up to it, other than some kind of disagreement, I really don't have any details because the victim would not talk to us.
So is y'all gonna keep more police presence in the neighborhood, in the area?
We always try to keep police presence, in the neighborhood. That location, we have not seen a whole lot of violent crime, thankfully. So it won't be the kind of presence that we have in Sursum Corda, for example. But yes, we do maintain a presence there. We've done multiple outreach events there. We'll continue to keep an eye on it. Hopefully this was, not a regular occurrence there. So I don't have any specific concerns about that building at the moment. And you can tell me if I should.
You should.
Okay. What else? What other kind of incidents have you been seeing there?
Well, it's quite a few. We get a lot of people, young people at night, gathering in the neighborhood, right, all hours of the night. I don't know if there were firecrackers I was hearing last night or some type of shooting, but it gets very disturbing to some people that live in the community.
Okay, and then they're just hanging out? Are they hanging out on K Street in front of the building?
In front of K Street, where Golden Rule is, and Savannah. There's a lot of shooting out there last night. I don't know if y'all was doing the shooting or some young boys was doing the shooting.
Yeah. I mean, I have noticed, activity on like First Street, and we've been trying to clear that up some. But yeah, as you know, there's just activity throughout that area. And we do the best we can trying to enforce, drinking in public. And with the coronavirus, with the stay-at-home order, we kind of had an extra tool in our tool belt to address some of that behavior. But that's, that's no longer in place. So we're no longer taking enforcement actions. We're still giving warnings if there's mass gatherings, but we're not taking any enforcement actions. So, but Commissioner, I'll put that on my list of locations to keep more of an eye on, and we'll monitor that a little more closely.
Yeah, them are the most 3 hot spots in our area.
Okay.
Yeah, them are hot spots.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. Commissioner Powder, I'm going to keep you muted because I think you were the reason for the feedback, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm just going to keep muting and unmuting you. Do you have anything else to say currently? Before I go to the community?
No, but I'll go ahead and mute myself.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to take any questions from the community. I think that is my constituent Aaron who has his hand raised up. So if you would like to ask Captain Duro a question, this is for the area that is south of New York Avenue for 1D. 3D is not here this evening. Use the raise your hand feature or press *9. Okay, I'm going to unmute Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, how are you? So my question is, as we go into this summer and as school has closed, people are starting to come out, the days are getting longer, the summer youth program probably won't even go into play. And I remember when Chief Ramsey was in place, we used to see police actively in the community, which we don't see now. And as we have these off-road bikes going from 1D and 3D and from 3D back into 1D. Are we going to start to see more police patrolling the neighborhoods with the lights on in the evening, on bikes, walking? Because, we've got a lot of idle community and a lot of idle individuals. And with that being said, that stirs up a lot of conflict between people's different personalities. So do the police do they plan on going into like a all hands on deck after we get done with this protest mess? I mean, what is your game plan to address so that things can be identified ahead of time and not after the fact?
Well, that's pretty, there's a few things we do. Are you speaking about a particular neighborhood or all neighborhood?
All neighborhood. I mean, I don't see you. Well, you're not in my thing, but uh, we're not seeing you all. And like I said, as the summer goes longer and these kids don't have the summer program, because most likely they won't have summer work. So that means they're idle. So that means they're out during the day. That means they're out during the night. All I'm saying is an all hands on deck presence during the day, on your bikes, walking, doing something, but people seeing you.
Okay, a few things. So going into the summer, there's a few summer programs that we have, which is the summer crime initiatives primarily. And those is target, you know, the neighborhoods where we see the highest amount of violent crime in the city. I think there's 5 or maybe even 7 this year. Luckily, none of them are in this area that I supervise, or even in, I think, any of the ANC area, because, you know, compared to other areas of the city, the violent crime is lower, thankfully. So that's one thing we do, and that's where we do put extra resources. As far as all hands on deck, that was I don't know if you're referring to the particular program that we ran several years ago, where we picked certain weekends of the year to have an increased police presence throughout the district. I do not know of any plans to do anything like that going forward. As far as the summer youth program, I don't have any information on that either. That would be probably something for the mayor's office to answer. Hopefully they do have something, and I think that I can't, let me say it this way, I've worked with those groups, I've worked with DYRS, the Attorney General's office, and the youth programs, and I can't imagine that they're not going to have some kind of plan going into the summer to engage the youth. I expect that they will, but again, that's something for the mayor's office to address. Other than that, I can tell you how kind of our deployment strategies within the district, at least in the first district, are, and that is to, first of all, again, we're worried about violent crime. So areas where we see repeated violent crime is where we focus our resources. Areas where we see a high number of call volume is where we focus our resources. So for the area I supervise, that is Sursum Corda, it is Chinatown, it is the Union Station area down to the shelter. And, you know, we have a limited number of resources, of course, that we can utilize. And so we put them where we see a lot of violent crime and where we see a lot of calls for service. And that has been proven to work, is that police presence does deter violent crime. And in those neighborhoods, we do put, you know, as able officers on foot, on bikes. A lot of the times we are, you know, kind of at, we don't have a whole lot of, you know, kind of just extra officers to put on foot beats and bike patrols at the moment. So, I mean, right now we're on 12-hour shifts. You know, days off have been canceled. So right now we are at a kind of all hands on deck, but that's obviously for the protest activity, which is just consuming a ton of resources for us. So going into the summer, we'll continue that. I know the mayor had made money available to hire additional officers, so we could have additional footbeat and bike officers available. I know that's something that was committed to in the last budget. So hopefully we'll be seeing, you know, more resources going forward. But right now we are just kind of, we're covering what we're able. The officers are, let me say this, I don't have officers kind of hiding anywhere. They are out there, they're working, they're running from call to call, they're going to traffic accidents, they're going to domestic violence assaults, they're, you know, going to crimes in progress, they're taking theft model reports. So trust me when I say our officers are out there working, they're in the neighborhoods. And in those neighborhoods where we see violent crime in particular, or high call volumes, we are putting additional resources as able. So.
Okay.
Question.
Captain, go ahead, Frank.
Captain, how many officers are you down due to the pandemic?
How many officers have gone down?
Yeah.
I can tell you exactly here. I think we've had about 200 test positive, and most of those have returned to work, though.
Okay, that's good.
So we've had actually 157 have tested positive. 124 of those have returned to work,
Okay.
and we've had no fatalities right now so far. So thankfully, so right now we have about 35 members out with positive COVID tests. Now we also, in addition to that, we're very cautious. So if we have any known exposures, you know, we quarantine for 2 weeks. We put our officers out for 2 weeks. We have a decontamination procedure that we've been going through for the vehicles, and you know, a lot of cleaning of our buildings. So it's been a lot of extra effort, and it has been a bit of a stress. I'll say this though, believe it or not, I feel like we are seeing less officers out on annual leave, sick leave than we usually would. So overall, I think our numbers, at least the first district, have actually been a bit higher because people are not going on vacation. Less officers are going out, you know, for kind of minor illnesses. So they've been stepping up to the plate, and I've been impressed with our officers, at least here at the first district during this pandemic. Our numbers have actually been a little bit better that I've seen.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, Captain, I apologize. So I was doing crowd control here at this meeting for the first part. So
Yes, I saw that.
Forgive me if you've already talked about it, but can you speak to the carjacking that started in 1D but landed in my single member district? Did you already talk about that? Did I miss that part?
Trying to remember which one.
So this is the
Did that just happen a
carjacking.
few days ago?
Yeah, this last week. This is the carjacking with
Yeah.
people, and it started in 1D, and then it roared right over to my area on 4th Street, and that's where the car landed. And you guys were in charge of the investigation. Do you have?
That's the ones Lieutenant Anderson was on the scene of?
Yeah, Lieutenant Anderson was on the scene. Correct.
Yeah, let me pull that up.
I mean, I assume they were all arrested, but did you catch everyone? I think there was like a small group, or.
Yeah, like I said, I have not been able to review everything as much as I usually do.
Okay.
Last few days. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. So we just had one in the 700 block of Pennsylvania a couple of nights
This
before.
was last week. It's okay. Don't worry. But I just wonder if there's.
I can email you that
Okay.
information, Commissioner.
All right. It just was, you know, because I know you guys were in charge of the investigation because it started, and then just there it was in my area. So it was quite the scene. So. All right.
You
Okay.
know what? If I'm not mistaken, okay, I'm recalling now. That was yes, we had 3 arrests of juveniles for that one.
Yep.
That was actually not a carjacking. That was
it?
It was a false report of that.
What do you mean?
The victim reported that he'd been carjacked. That was not true.
What?
He had left his car running unattended,
Oh.
and some juveniles had hopped into it.
So you just
That's why I
it?
wasn't triggering. You know, the carjacking wasn't. Yeah, initially we did think it was, but after further investigation, it was a stolen auto, which
Okay.
again, we've been seeing a lot of, unfortunately, with all the deliveries that are happening, people leaving their cars running. So hopefully we've gotten the word out by now that please don't leave your cars running and unattended, even for a moment. I mean, there's a lot of people out there specifically looking for that and stealing cars and then committing other crimes. So.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Any other community questions for Captain Duro? This is the area that is below New York Avenue. Raise your hand. Raise your hand with the little motion. Okay, Alex, Marriott has a question. Okay.
I don't see the little raise hand thing.
Okay, it's okay, Alex. I see you.
All right. Nonetheless, I don't want to take up any more of your time, Captain Duro, but I was very impressed and very happy to hear how well you, 7-Eleven, and the SID came together to kind of resolve these issues at 7-Eleven. And I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit more detail how you guys came together to address this issue and what ultimate decisions were in terms of like security and how MPD would be working with 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I will say that all occurred while I was on leave, so I can't take credit for it personally. The commander spearheaded that effort, but she worked with a bid, Kenyatta, and they contacted 7-Eleven corporate, and they they were able to kind of point out that the level of activity that we were seeing there was unacceptable, and it was really endangering their employees more than anything else. So they did agree to hire a security guard, and we saw a significant decrease after that in the activity in the 7-Eleven. Now we have had a few incidents, like I said, that even if not directly in the 7-Eleven, that robbery was definitely related to people that were going there and coming from there. So we do what we can, and I'm not going to hold that against them because we can't deter everything. So overall, I think it's been a lot better. And we at least attempt to do those kind of collaborative efforts whenever we see spikes in crime and thefts and dangerous incidents. We've done the same with Walmart. We've done the same with some of the CVS's, the Safeways. So it is something we try to, because business owners do have a responsibility to kind of maintain a safe environment as well, and take actions to minimize crime. So it was a good collaborative effort, and I don't know if you have any specific questions about it.
No, that was it. I was very happy to hear that. And when we were on the call the other night with the K residents, again, I just want to thank you for your efforts, and certainly send my thanks to Commander King.
So,
Sure thing.
so let me ask Joseph Horn if he's on the call. Joseph Horn is the person from 7-Eleven. So if Joseph Horn is on the call, raise your hand, or raise the hand feature, or press *9. Mr. Horn from 7-Eleven. No. Okay. All right. So thank you, Captain, very much. I appreciate your time. We all appreciate your time. Stay safe. Okay.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we'll see you next month.
Yeah, and let me just, if I can, real quick, it's I think it's been made clear that we as law enforcement community and MPD is in particular are kind of that the tragic incidents of George Floyd's death were just completely unacceptable, and I hope you all know that we as your police department stand with those that are outraged at that incident. So on the other hand, the violence and the looting that we've seen the last few nights is also unacceptable, and it's saddened me personally to see that happening to our city. And I've been out there, I've had rocks thrown at me, and it's the curfew's in effect now, so everyone stay home and stay safe, and just know that those groups that are out there late at night roaming through the city, those are not peaceful protesters. I've seen some of that reported in the media, and I can tell you I've been out there myself, and that has not been the case. They're smashing windows, they're burglarizing residents, they're actively looking to engage with the police, and it's been a rough few nights for our officers. We've had several officers injured, some pretty significantly. So I just wanted to put that out there. Stay home, stay safe, and say a prayer for our officers, and thank you.
All right. Thank you, Captain. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. So next we have, this is in Commissioner Marriott's area, the 724 5th Street play. I'm going to unmute Mr. Brody. Mr. Brody, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, Alex, why don't you go ahead?
So this playoff pizza, obviously we protested this settlement agreement a few months ago. Since that time, we've been discussing a settlement agreement. Last night, we had a virtual town hall through Zoom in which I think we had 20, 25, 30 residents from the Triple Nickel on to ask questions. Mr. Brody joined us to answer those questions. We also had the former ANC 6B chair join us, Chandran, to discuss his experiences working with Mr. Brody in Mr. Brody's bar in his ANC district. In my opinion, I thought it went very well. I think we've been able to put together a settlement agreement that certainly won't make everybody happy, but I think it does address the concerns that were discussed last night and that have been discussed over the last few months. And we can talk about that a little more in detail, but I want to give Mr. Brody an opportunity to discuss his operation.
Well, thank you, Alex. And Alex has been great. You know, he arranged the meeting with 555 Mass yesterday. And, you know, everybody had something to say, and we tried to address everybody's concerns. I mean, I understand, you know, if I lived, you know, next door, I would have concerns, and I'm sensitive to everybody's issues. Just to probably to reiterate our meeting in March. So we are applying for a liquor license on the first floor, mezzanine, and second floor at 924 Fifth Street, of which I am the owner of the building. And, you know, we plan to be a sports bar and have some sports betting and games of skill. So, you know, so Chander, who came and spoke yesterday at the meeting, basically to reiterate what he said about me, and Alex can chime in if he thinks I'm missing something, that whenever there was any issues, I was very easy to work with. I was, you know, we were an mostly outdoor place, and they were concerned about noise, and we always took care of anything that anybody had to say about it. And, you know, they were concerned there would be problems, and there weren't. And so you know, that place is very family friendly. People bring their kids and dogs, and that I plan to run a nice place. And so I just want the neighborhood to know that. And one other comment was, you know, some people are worried about problems or trouble, and I said I wouldn't stand for it. I would rather close a place if it became like that. And that was the attitude over, you know, because we were one of the first people below the highway, you know, by the Navy Yard, which many years ago was not a friendly place down there. And, you know, we were just worried that we didn't, you know if there was going to be problems there. But it turned out to be a very nice place and family friendly. And we want to make this one, you know, we are going to have a private area that's rented for private parties. And, you know, we want the neighborhood to you know that they can use that for their private parties. And, you know, I will be sensitive to everybody's issues in the neighborhood. And a couple other things are, I do feel that Fifth Street does need another business open. You know, I've heard some people say, well, there have been problems on Fifth Street between Kay and I, just because, you know, there's a lot of vacancies. And I think it's very helpful to the neighborhood to have another place open that faces Fifth Street. And, you know, I plan to be, you know, a good neighbor. And I'm not sure if anybody wants to ask me any questions,
Okay.
or if I've
Great.
addressed.
Thanks, Mr. Brody. So commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Brody? I'm going to unmute Alex. Okay.
So yes, the ABC Licensing Committee did receive correspondence from Mr. Brody. We evaluated his statements related to the intensity of activity related to entertainment, and the several endorsements that he's requesting, which were the source of significant concern expressed by neighboring residents when the committee heard his original presentation. The comparison that was made with Silo directly across the street really wasn't a valid one. Silo is only going to have the geofenced sports gaming apps. They will not have any kiosks. They will not have any games of skill. So the concerns which caused the committee to recommend that security be present during all hours of operation, especially at the entrance of the establishment and outside the establishment, remain. And the committee did vote to recommend that the commission not support any settlement agreement that does not provide for security outside of the establishment during all hours of operation.
Okay. Any other commissioners that have questions? Commissioner Wiggins, Commissioner Rogers, Alvin?
No.
Okay. I'm going to open up to the community now. Do any members of the community have questions concerning Playoff Pizza, which will be located at 924 5th Street? We are voting on their the sports wagering that will be taking place in their location. If you have a question for Mr. Brody or for Commissioner Marriott, raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature or press *9.
It might be helpful if I just quickly summarize the terms.
Okay, go ahead. I see you, Aaron. I see you, Aaron. We'll get to you. Go ahead, Alex.
So as most of you know, we have a standard settlement agreement with standard hours that we've asked every newcomer into our neighborhood to abide by. Those hours are hours of operation ending at 1 o'clock a.m. from Sunday to Thursday, at 2 o'clock a.m. Fridays and Saturdays, and alcohol sales will obviously end at those times as well. Additionally, outside operations must end at 11 o'clock every day of the week. These terms were agreed upon by Mr. Brody without any issue. The biggest issue that we've been discussing is this gambling. Unfortunately, despite the fact that we had representatives from DC Lottery come and talk to us in March, I think it was, it's still a little hazy about what this actually is. I've talked with a few ABRA attorneys that have clients getting these endorsements and what their ANCs have done. And what I think we have here, I think is probably the best that we're going to get at this time. With this agreement, Mr. Brody has committed to a security guard for Fridays and Saturday nights beginning at 8 o'clock and going till close. They will be stationed at the entrance at 5th Street. The bets and the cash awards coming from these games of skill and sports wagering will be capped at $300. If they go beyond that, then he will have to have security on the premises. I also had some discussions with off the record discussions with DC Lottery. They anticipate 95% of the individuals who will participate in these activities will do it through an account. So most money will be going through electronic transfers. Few people will be involved in cash. Nonetheless, we're requesting Mr. Brody cap his. And I think this captures exactly what we're looking for. And obviously, the most important thing to our neighborhood is the maintenance of peace, order, and quiet. And so I think that this settlement agreement isn't perfect, but I do think it is the best that we have at this time.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to unmute Aaron. Go ahead, Aaron.
My question is, I follow up to the commissioner. Yeah, can he better explain to us with this, with this gambling? Is this like going to Dover Downs and you sit behind just machines and you put coins in? I mean, this, or for sports, or is this like in Maryland they have I want to say online gambling, because you look at the flat screen and you see the horse racing, or if you're playing Kinko's. I mean, what is this? I mean, can you give a little bit more?
It's basically sports wagering. So you can bet on football games, basketball games, hockey games, various games. So it's usually something that's going to be live and on the TV, one of the TVs. And the idea is, people come in and drink and have something to eat. And if there's a game on, they can place a bet on the game.
I think it's important. I think it's just important to note for those, there are two different levels of licenses. The establishments that we have been dealing with are I apologize for the term, bottom rung, in the sense that they're not the book. They're not the ones that are making money off the bets. They get a minor cut, and it's basically a something like Keno to get people in and get a bit of a tax break.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Aaron. So any other community member have a question about this? Raise your hand, use the little raise your hand feature, or press *9. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, great. All right, thank you, Mr. Brody. We appreciate your time. And so you sent me the settlement agreement, Alex, right?
Yeah. Just to be clear, is anybody else? I thought I saw some faces that somebody might want to say something.
So they need to raise their hand, or they need to.
Or physically, like this.
Okay, so.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so Mary Ellen, hold on.
Mary Ellen, yep.
Go ahead,
I
Mary
can't
Ellen.
find raise
Go
my
ahead,
hand
Mary.
on.
Okay, go ahead.
Just to recap some of the discussion that we had last night, I think some of us are really concerned about having money change hands at the site. As Alex Marriott had said, I guess it was Alex Padro, that Silo is not having any cash. It's all going to be electronic. And last night, we had someone from Dragon's Ascent speak, and they said that they can't right now do electronic transfers of money. It would mean tying into the internet, and that would cause some type of conflicts. So again, bottom line, even with a quote unquote minimal $300 limit, that's still to us will cause problems, security problems, threats of robberies. And again, living next door, it's going to just filter down the street. So that's basically, there are other objections, but that to me is the main one, just security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say, Mr. Brody or Alex?
Yeah, I understand that, and that's my concern too. If I could, I would ask Mr. Brody to have, 3 security guards out front patrolling the block every day of the week. But that's not possible. I think, with these kind of negotiations and these agreements, how they go. We ask for as much as we can get, and we take what we can. That's why I'm endorsing this agreement. I think, I've been pretty tough on a lot of the businesses in my neighborhood. I know there's at least a couple that are looking very, very forward to the end of my term. But I think we do the best we can. We try to support our businesses the best we can with a limit, like this kind of agreement. And I do think it's important to realize that if there was some kind of incident, if it was negative in any, whether it's a robbery, an argument, a dispute, the owners of these establishments are far more concerned about not having that happen than we are. In the settlement agreement we had with 7-Eleven, we thought we put forward a good settlement agreement. We had to come back and make it and address it again, which is why 7-Eleven now is a security guard. Now, I think we'll be able to prevent that. I think the more establishments we're going to have on this block, including Waffle Shop, Playoff Pizza, Select Reserves, the more people, the more activity, the safer and the better this corner is going to be. And, the other concern is, I also don't want to start the habit of trying to tell establishments that they need to put their security in the line of breaking up a robbery. I mean, that's not their goals. That's not what they're covered in insurance, and it can result in a lot more problems. So while I do think that, I'd like to have as many people on the street as possible, I think this agreement's going to accomplish what we're looking for, and, meet the kind of discussions that we had last night and the concerns.
Okay. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Okay, so I'm going to unmute Joe. Joe has a question.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to find out how quickly would Playoff Pizza actually be up and running?
Am I on?
Yep, you are.
Okay. We plan to be open in about 6 months. It always takes longer than you think, but that's the goal.
All right, thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Joe. Okay, thank you, Mr. Brody. We appreciate your time. We look forward to welcoming your business to our community. And I'm going to sign the settlement agreement, okay? And then
No, don't. I got to make some changes.
Okay, no.
And I always want to go through it one more time, make sure there's no typos too. You know, I think to a certain degree, it's comical that we're talking about the security and the gambling and the limits and stuff, because at the end of the day, nobody on this call really has a firm grasp of what these regulations are and what the requirements are going to be. This is a minor step in the process. Before Mr. Brody can actually put these kiosks in and do this, he has to submit a security plan to the DC Lottery. So one of the things that I'm going to have to put in this agreement is to make sure it's clear that these terms in here are secondary to the DC Lottery. If the DC Lottery requires, you know, X, Y, and Z and a lot more draconian measures, those are going to have to be complied with well over our settlement agreement, which, you know, also includes security cameras and the like. But, you know, there's another level to this. The only reason we're even talking about this is because the initial step, the endorsement, is done through ABBA. So that's why we're kind of fitting this in. So one of the terms I'm going to add into this is that, you know, everything is secondary to DC law. And if one term in this agreement is found to be running afoul of DC law, it doesn't invalidate the rest of the agreement.
Okay. Great. All right. Thank you, Mr. Brody.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we have, this is in my area, 1020.
Well, I think we got to take a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. I'd like to make a motion that ANC 60 endorse the settlement agreement with Playoff Pizza, and that we revoke our protest and communicate send the settlement agreement to the ABBA board.
Do I have a second? Frank, Alex, Kevin?
I second it.
Okay. Okay. So Kevin has seconded the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So I voted aye. Frank?
What else, Peter?
Okay, Frank is abstaining. Commissioner Padro?
Nay.
Nay. Alvin?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yep, I did. Say Commissioner Rogers? Commissioner
Aye.
Rogers? Aye. Okay, great. All right, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so next let's move on to the establishment that's in my area, 1027 7th Street. It's 7th and L Restaurant LLC. This is a new restaurant that's coming to the area. I don't have an official name. I call them the Dabney Part 2. So we are a little bit of a standstill with the settlement agreement. The owners have other things going on, so we have not come to an agreement yet. So let me ask if Matt, their representative, the lawyer, is on, or anyone, Alex or Jeremiah, if you are on the call, please raise your proverbial hand with the feature or press *9. So is Matt Minona on the call, or any of the representatives from the Dabney Part 2, as I call it? Okay, So what I'm going to do, we are going to protest this.
Yeah, we do have a report from the committee.
Okay, so go ahead, Alex.
Yes, so as Commissioner Nigro indicated, the attorneys for the applicants have not been given authorization to negotiate further with the commission or to have a representation at this meeting. They also declined to participate in the ABC licensing committee meeting. They are reevaluating their concept as a result of their original application had been filed back in March, and obviously a lot changing in terms of the economy and the marketplace for restaurants. So they're evaluating the project, and before our next meeting, we'll be re-engaging with Commissioner Nigro and with the committee to see whether or not the application is going to go forward, and if so, what changes need to be made to accommodate commission standards. So the committee did vote to recommend that the application be protested on that basis.
Okay, great, Alex. And on behalf of my constituents, especially if any of them are on the phone now that live in the Paradise Garden apartments, I asked that the applicant roll back their hours slightly because of that outdoor space that they're requesting. So that is basically the only cause for concern, because if anyone's on the call from the Paradise Garden apartments, those balconies will face the outdoor space. Okay, so that's really the only concern. So commissioners, do you have any questions? No? Okay, anyone from the community have any questions? Press *9 if you're on the phone, or do the little hand raise function. This is for the restaurant that will be on the corner of 7th and L Street Northwest. Any questions? No. Okay, so let's move forward. I move that ANC 6E protest the application for 1027 7th Street, 7th and L Restaurant LLC, and that we communicate that to Abra.
Friendly amendment. You need to specify that it's on the basis of adverse impacts on peace, order, and quiet. You need to have an appropriate reason for protesting, and with that, I will second.
Okay, I accept your friendly amendment. Okay, call for a second.
You just seconded.
Okay, Frank is second.
No, actually, I had seconded it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Made the friendly amendment.
So Alex seconded. Okay. All right. So vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Frank or an aye. I'm an aye. Alex Padros an aye. Alex Merritt's an aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Aye. Alvin?
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, commissioners, and we'll see them hopefully at the meeting next month. Okay, next we're back in Commissioner Marriott's area. This is 476 K Street. This is the cloakroom, and they are looking for also to add sports wagering. So go ahead, Commissioner Marriott.
I don't have too much to add. I'd like to introduce a representative from the cloakroom, Tony, who's the manager. He's been wonderful to work with. So I'm going to let him take it away.
Okay.
So good evening, everyone. First of all, hope everyone's doing all right. Thank you, Alex. Basically, my understanding is there's a protest due mostly to security issues that deal with sports wagering. I think a lot of these were addressed with Mr. Brody there. Couple things will probably be what Alex said. First of all, in order for us to even get this sports gaming license, we have to supply a security plan to Office of Lottery and Gaming. Very extensive security plan showing cameras over every kiosk and where every kiosk will be located as such. So that's number one. Number two is we don't even plan on having cash exchange hands when it comes to gaming or sports gambling. We prefer to do it all via account. And we just want to have, and we're not even looking to be a major gaming site. We just want to give people, our patrons, that option to be able to place bets while they're at our establishment. we're not going to be promoting as a gaming establishment with drinks and entertainment on the side. We like our entertainment, we like our bar feature and club feature, but to give people the option to be able to place bets if they choose to. But we're going to do that via accounts. We don't want to even take the responsibility of cashing people out if they win and giving them cash and looking at their tickets and, you know, having that argument with them. We don't want to even deal with that. So we're going to do it all ours via accounts, online accounts. Another thing is we always have security at Cloakroom. I mean, we always have multiple security, even up to over a dozen on the weekends. We've never had any instances or fights or anything. And as everyone knows, the nature of our business, there's tons of cash being exchanged and frankly, literally thrown up in the air. We've never had any fights or anything inside the club since we've been open. No robberies, no nothing. I guess people know not to play around there. So everything is great on that end. So other than that, if you're worried about security, we feel like we would have it covered and then some, as we currently do, and as we would to make lottery happy too. So that's all I have for real.
Great. Well, you know, I think at this time, you know, as we, you know, kind of discussed, I'd like a little more time to kind of review the current settlement agreement in place for the Cloakroom, see what kind of modifications, if any, need to be made. You know, that hasn't been done yet. So I'm going to propose that we protest this substantial change to our license for the time being until the commission can further evaluate the Cloakroom's plans and how that'll fit into the current settlement agreement. But you know, I'll keep it open to questions or concerns from the commissioner audience.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners?
No.
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 Alex Padro?
So, you know, the protest date for this is such that, you know, we also did have the option of just tabling it until the next month, but we would have no objection to protesting it with the understanding that we would like to have a presentation to the committee from the applicant so we can go through their proposed operations in greater detail.
Okay, great.
Well, as Benjamin Franklin always said, why put off till tomorrow what you can do today? So with that, I'll make a motion that ANC 60 protest the Cloakroom's substantial change on the basis of peace, order, and quiet, property values, and parking. And we communicate this protest to the Aberville.
Seconded.
Okay, so let me unmute everyone here. Hold on 1 second. Kevin, can you hear me? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Alvin?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're all in favor. Frank?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Okay,
Hey,
great.
thank you, Tony, for coming. And I'll coordinate with you on like next steps for presentation and, you know, different stuff.
So
Sounds good.
we do have a question. Hold on, we do have a question from Aaron. Aaron? Aaron?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, go.
Oh, okay. My question is, because it seems like this online betting is going to be booming across the district here. Is there a max amount that each individual is allotted to place? Because I understand what Mary Ellen is saying, and not just for her residents on K Street, but for the individual who's betting. So is there going to be a max, like you can only bet like $50? Is there a max?
I'm sure there will be. I don't know what Office of Lottery Gaming is going to set that at, or possibly the companies that come in and help run these sports books, because we're like kind of like the guy who just punches up the lottery ticket. There's other people running it from behind the scenes. So I don't know what they'll set that at. But again, going back to like what Mary Ellen was worried about, we're not exchanging cash. It's all via accounts, online accounts.
Aaron, is that okay?
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm good with it. I mean, this is all new, so I mean, we're gonna have to learn as we go. But I just want to make sure that everybody everybody is safe, because you could be somebody who look like they came out of there, and then you walking down the street, and then you get held up, and you weren't even in there. You see what I'm saying? So I know we're going to do this by ear, but I just want to make sure that everybody is safe.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much for that. Okay, Mary Ellen, I see you.
Yeah, just a question and a comment. I believe it was last meeting that the cloakroom had requested that their hours be extended. What hours are you looking for the sports betting?
The sports betting, we are looking for basically the same hours as our alcohol sales.
Okay, so 3 a.m. on weekends as opposed to the 5 a.m. that it had been extended?
Sure. But then again, there's not that many sports games or races or anything happening at 3 a.m.
European soccer.
Oh, that's
My
true.
son-in-law is a huge soccer fan, so.
Well, we might have to open up early to catch those games in the morning.
He can keep it at our house. And the other, I guess, is just a comment. I'm trying to remember back to when the Lottery Commission spoke to the ANC. And I think there was something, and I don't remember exactly what was said about once the sports betting went to that commission, that basically the ANC had no control over if there were issues with that. Am I remembering that correctly?
I think there's a lot going on with the sports gambling that's fairly unresolved at this point. And I hate to admit it, but I feel like many of us are out of our element in this quagmire of new regulations that I think all but maybe 4 people in the city understand what's going on.
Because I read through the proposal that they had, or the rules that they had given, and I just got the idea that once you guys signed off on it and Abra said okay, that as far as any changes to the sports gambling, you weren't involved in.
Well, I mean, like anything else we do with these settlement agreements are very much living documents. I mean, the first settlement agreement that's signed is not, the only thing. It's not like it can never be changed. I mean, many times we've done them before. Commissioner Padro can regale you with stories of Dacia Beer Garden. Once something's in place, you can change it if you need to. I mean, perfect example is the cloakrooms. We've had a settlement in place with them for a few years now. Now they're coming back for a substantial change. We're going to be reevaluating the settlement agreement, making some changes. So just because something goes in at once doesn't mean it can never be changed.
Mr. Padre, you have something to say?
Yeah, procedurally, the ANC's last action in terms of licensing for sports wagering is the endorsement at the ABRA level, because the application that goes to a lottery and gaming agency does not come to the commission. So I think that might be what Mary Ellen was referring to.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Ellen.
Thank you.
Okay, any other community questions? Raise your proverbial hand with the feature or press *9. Okay, no? All right, great. Let's move on to the next topic.
Thank you.
All right, so we have, it is in Commissioner Padro's area. It is 1018 Rhode Island Avenue, the Roasted Boon, right? Roasted Boon, and they're coming to us for public space, support for their public space permit. I see Henak on there. Henak, you have to unmute yourself.
I'm here, Commissioner.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, if I can do this well, I'm going to show your plan. Okay, so you're going to talk through it. Let me get this up on the screen here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Hold on. There it is. Okay. So during this time, because I'm doing this I need Ed and Marcus to fully observe the rest of the crowd, okay, because I have to focus in on this. Okay, go ahead, Hanak. Why don't you start with what we're seeing? So I've got this here. And
thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the opportunity to look for support regarding the outdoor permit. So as you're aware, the location previously was a liquor store, and we were transitioning it to a coffee shop. Slide number 1 is the existing outdoor space. Right now, there's nothing to just out there.
okay.
On the 11th Street side, you have currently a driveway reflected along with on the Rhode Island section as well.
Is that, do I move the slide?
Perfect. Slide number 2, this is the proposed outdoor space that we have reflected. Currently, it's we're proposing about a total of 19 tables for seating arrangements, and the area will be surrounded by a total of 9 barriers and 5 piers in order to ensure safety for the patrons that do decide to visit the coffee shop.
Okay. Looks nice.
Slide 3, as you can see with the arrows, that'll be the depiction of how people will enter the space as well as exit. We made it uniform so that, other people that are just walking by can't just enter the space just unannounced, so to speak. They have to go to that one section there located in front.
Okay.
And this is a front view of the location as well that we're proposing. Just for the community's SA, we have a total of 4 cameras currently outside for safety as well.
Okay.
Again, this is a depiction of from the 11th Street view side of the location as well. This section is the Rhode Island view. Oh, I'm sorry, no, this is the 11th Street viewpoint of the location. And as you can see, we have the dividers and plantiers that'll separate from the public sidewalk and the actual location.
You have tables and chairs.
Correct.
Okay. And pillows.
And this section here is the Rhode Island section that we propose to have with the number of about 5 dividers and 1 plantier. And just another viewpoint from the Rhode Island section.
Okay. Anything? I think that's it. So let me. While I still have the presentation up on the screen, do any of the commissioners have a question? No? Okay. Okay. So, oh, Alex, I'm sorry, Alex. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I've been trying to get your attention since you
I
introduced it.
was
Normally,
watching the screen. It's a different view.
Yeah,
when
normally
present.
I would make some introductory remarks and save the applicant some time, but
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So we did have this at the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting last week, and we had a thorough discussion about some of the current conditions that exist that make the outdoor seating for roasted boon, not optimal. So as was indicated, there are 2 curb cuts that actually the community had, and I as the ANC commissioner had requested a number of years ago be eliminated when DDOT did a streetscape project on 11th Street. They did not want to rock the boat with the liquor store that was currently in place, even though those curb cuts regularly endanger pedestrian safety because cars transgress through the sidewalks to get to the areas where 3 vehicles had been parked, 1 on the 11th Street side and 2 on the Rhode Island Avenue side. So right now there is sloped concrete in addition to the curb cuts, which do not make for satisfactory surface for the outdoor seating for this establishment. So as part of the committee's recommendations, which I also support, we are recommending that the curb cuts be eliminated, that the sloped areas be regraded so that we have fully ADA compliant sidewalks on both Rhode Island Avenue and on 11th Street, that an additional handicapped access ramp be added on the 11th Street side, which is currently part of the area that there is curb cut in place. And there was a minor adjustment that was made, after the presentation to eliminate some seating on the Rhode Island Avenue side, so that a mural that is being currently installed on that purple wall can be more easily seen by passers-by. So there was at one point a proposal to have an outdoor sculpture as part of the outdoor seating area, which now has been eliminated. So I see that Alex Lopez is available, and the committee can offer its report. But also there is one issue that obviously there will be some not insignificant cost associated with restoring the sidewalk to its original condition, the removal of the curb cuts, installation of granite curbing, and regrading of the concrete to normal sidewalk. So I'm going to make a second motion after my motion related to the public space permit, asking DDOT to take responsibility for restoring those sidewalks and curbs for pedestrian safety purposes, so that the applicant would not have to undergo that cost.
Go ahead, Alex Lopez.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Padro, Chair Negro. I think that Commissioner Padro summarized the recommendations of the Transportation Committee pretty well. We didn't find any anything objectionable about the sidewalk cafe itself. Most of the conversation focuses, as Commissioner Padro said, on the curb cuts on both Rhode Island Avenue and 11th Street, which create potential accessibility issues, create existing accessibility issues that could potentially be exacerbated with the installation of the sidewalk cafe here. Our recommendation, and I think Commissioner Padro was alluding to this, was that we do not want to encumber a new neighborhood business by saddling them with the costs of removing the curb cuts. So the recommendation of the Transportation Committee was that the ANC make the request of DDOT to remove those 2 curb cuts on Rhode Island Avenue and 11th Street. And we see this as being both an accessibility issue as a way to eliminate the possibility of vehicles coming up onto the sidewalk using that existing curb cut.
Okay. Alex, anything else?
No, I mean, but if there are questions from either the commissioners or the community, we can certainly entertain those before I make the motions.
Okay. So, hey, Hennick, you need to unmute yourself. So, what are those? What's that material made of for the little barriers, the little screens? What is that made of?
It's a sort of metal substance of sorts.
Okay. I think it's cute, but I understand what Commissioner Padros. It's great. Looks cute. It'll certainly add to the area, that corner there. Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, I'm going to open the floor to the community. So any questions from the community? This is going to be located at 1018 Rhode Island Avenue, the Roasted Boon. Raise your proverbial hand, use that function, the raise your hand function, or press *9. Any questions from the community? Nope. Okay, all right, Alex Padro.
Thank you. So the first motion is that ANC 6E support the public space application for 1018 Rhode Island Avenue Northwest with provisos that the curb cuts on both Rhode Island Avenue and 11th Street be eliminated, and a new handicapped accessible cut be added on the 11th Street side, and that the sidewalks be regraded to the normal orientation for pedestrians in order to ensure both accessibility and safety, and that we communicate that to the Public Space Committee and the Director of the District Department of Transportation.
Second.
Okay, so Frank, so let me unmute everyone. Unmute Alvin, Kevin. Everyone hear me? Okay. So Frank seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, motion passed. Thank you very much, Hennek.
So the second motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the second motion is that the commission requests that the District Department of Transportation take responsibility and accept the cost associated with removing the curb cuts on both 11th Street and Rhode Island Avenue, regrading of the concrete sidewalks, and installation of a ADA accessible ramp on the 11th Street side in the interest of improving both pedestrian safety as well as ADA accessibility.
You have a second?
Second.
Frank seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Alex Marriott, yes. Okay. Alvin?
Yes.
Aye. Okay, great. All right, thank you. Hennek again. Okay, so now we have a presentation from the DPW, Department of Public Works. Do I have Celeste on the line or Felicia? Raise your proverbial hand or press *9. So I'm looking for Ed and Marcus, look for Felicia or Celeste. Do I have Celeste or Felicia on the phone from DPW? Maybe not. Okay. No.
I don't see her.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on then. Next, we have a presentation from the DCOPC on DC water policies. I'm looking for Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, can you raise your proverbial hand, use that feature, or press *9? Mr. Williams from the OPC. Alex and Marcus, look for Mr. Williams.
Mark Williams?
No, Markham Williams.
I see a Mark Williams.
Wait a minute. Mr. Williams, are you here?
And there's a Bob Williams.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
are you from the OPC?
Yes, I am. Can you hear
Okay,
me, guys?
yes, we can. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for allowing me an opportunity to speak tonight. I appreciate that, commissioners. So again, I am Mark Williams from the Office of the People's Counsel, Water Services Division. And for those who may or may not know, for a little more than a year now, the Office of the People's Council's Water Services Division has had oversight over DC Water's policies and procedures. And so through that, we have been serving and assisting DC Water ratepayers during that time, for everything from assisting them with financial assistance, and we don't do that directly, but we certainly partner with organizations that do, everything from that to what we actually specialize in, which is providing attorneys for you if you have a discrepancy with the utility service provider that requires a litigation procedure or an administrative procedure. If it escalated to that degree, we would provide a attorney with you to those proceedings free of charge to make sure that you had adequate representation and to ensure that you had all of the information and resources that you would need to present your argument against the utility service provider at that time. And so through that, we continue to do that through the pandemic, and we emphasize that customers reach out to us if they are experiencing any sort of disruption in their service, which they shouldn't be, but certainly if they are, we implore them to contact us immediately to assist them with getting those services reconnected. The City Council passed an emergency legislation that essentially mandated that all utility service providers, including DC Water, reconnect any services that at that time were disconnected, as well as maintaining any services to ensure that none are disconnected during the pandemic. And so what that does is allow our office, particularly the Water Services Division, to focus on helping residents and customers to manage their bills. And so DC Water, along with that emergency legislation, is prepared to establish installment payment plans for their ratepayers and customers who may be experiencing hardships financially as it relates to paying their water bills. Also, I want to emphasize that some of the concerns that we have experienced from the community is for customers who, let's say your account was extremely large prior to the pandemic, and DC Water still restored your service based on the circumstances. The concern at this point is, well, what happens when the pandemic is over? Are the utility service providers, particularly DC Water, going to come after us like vultures for, whatever monies that may be owed? And so we want to emphasize to everyone that that's not going to be the case. Part of that emergency legislation is also to have customers be assisted at least 6 months after the pandemic is over as it relates to being able to pay their bills. So they won't be disconnecting services at least 6 months, after the pandemic has ended, to give every customer who is experiencing hardships, and certainly we understand that those that may be, an opportunity to maintain their service and reduce their bills. Last but not least, I want to inform everyone that the DC Water has several programs that they have implemented to assist residents to reduce the CREAC fee that you see on your water bill. And so for those who may not be familiar with that term, the CREAC is the Clean Rivers and Impervious Area Charge fee that everyone in the District of Columbia has to pay for their water service, as well as the again, to improve the Clean Rivers, Potomac River, as well as the impervious area is the calculation that DC uses to determine your water runoff area, which is something that you can look up on their website to determine how they calculated your particular water runoff for the CREAC. That being said, Commissioner Negro, I have forwarded you what is essentially a CREAC relief document. It's a one-pager that you can share with your colleagues and with your constituents. And what this does is it outlines how residents can receive direct financial assistance from as little as $10 for up to $2,000 regarding assistance towards their CREAC charges. And it outlines that there are two specific ways that they can do that. One is through the Customer Assistance Program or the CAP program, which would deduct monthly fees from the Associated Clean Rivers period area charge, or the CREAC. And the second one is allows the consumers to apply for direct financial assistance. And so both of those you can find through DC Water's website. You can either download the application and send it in through, you can email it to them, you can direct mail it to them, or you can fill it out online. But that information is available on DC Water's website, as well as the information that I sent to you, Commissioner. And so through that, customers can, again, use that to further, assist them with reducing their bill and maintaining their services. So beyond that, commissioners, again, I would again emphasize that we are still here to assist all customers at the Office of the People's Council's energy assistance programs that we have. We have litigation services division. We have a consumer services division. Those services assist customers with their energy bills and their gas bills. I specifically work for the water services division, as I mentioned, and we understand again that how important being able to maintain your water bill is. In case those who may not know, DC, the water utility is directly associated with your property, okay? And so what that means is that unlike the gas bill and the energy bill, if your water bill becomes delinquent, DC Water can go so far as to place a lien on your property to essentially get your attention as it relates to them trying to get services rendered, funds for services rendered. And so we haven't had any experiences where customers have lost their homes as a result of that, but certainly we can understand the anxiety that getting that kind of a notice in the mail can bring. And so we want to just, again, emphasize how important it is to maintain your water services, maintain your bill. Please use DC Water's website to access the programs that they have available free of charge that will assist you with managing your water bill, as well as contacting us directly where we can assist you with everything, as I mentioned, as it relates to assisting you with your, not only your water bill, but as I said, as far as OPC is concerned as a whole, with all of your utility service needs.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Do the commissioners have any questions from Mr. Williams from the OPC?
No.
Alex here.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wait, Alex has a question. Alex Padro.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Williams,
Yes,
the DC Water CREAC relief programs, are those only for consumers or also for commercial customers?
So I believe that's actually a good question. And so it's for customers, okay? It's directly for residential customers. And so if you check out if you get an opportunity to check out the one-pager fact sheet that I sent to the commissioner, one of the things that it specifically emphasizes on there is the customer assistance program, which a lot of our customers may not be aware of, that directly assists customers with not only with the water bill, but it provides a lot of information that you can use to, as it relates to conserving your water and different methods that you can use to do that. All of these different things as it relates to just managing your bill, because how important that is. But certainly that's a good question, Commissioner, as it relates to is it something that commercial businesses can apply to? And it's actually, again, as I said, for residents.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners?
And last but not least, this program expires in August of this year. So it's important from a timeline standpoint to be aware of the program and the different ways that you can take advantage of it.
Okay, I just forwarded your email to the commissioners. Any other?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And any questions from the public do the *9 if you're on the phone. Oh, Aaron's got a question. Okay, hold on a second, Aaron. There you go, Aaron.
Yes. You said this program expires in August. Do you know, is it in the next year's budget as well?
Let me see. That is something I don't know for certain. That is a question that I believe that a representative from DC Water would be more suitable to ask in terms of, because again, that would obviously something directly affects their budget. But what I can certainly look into that, and I can forward that information to the commissioner. Or if you have an email address, I can forward that information to you directly.
So, Mr. Williams, Aaron is my constituent, so you can email me the information, and I will get it to you, Aaron.
Excellent.
Sure.
That is not a problem. Thank you so much.
Any other questions from the community? Raise your hand, *9, or do the proverbial raise your hand feature. Okay, no. Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Williams. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a
Okay. All right. So, any old business from the commissioners? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Any old business from the commissioners? Alex, Frank, Alex Marriott, Kevin, Alvin? No? Okay, great. We have the minutes to approve for on May 5th. So any questions from the commissioners or suggestions? Alex, do you have anything to add about the minutes? Yep.
Yes, I am going to give some minor corrections to Karen, specifically related to one of the ABRA items, that hotel on at 601 K Street. The language that we approved was that there was to be no dancing on the roof, either inside or outside, and it said that it approved dancing. So we need to make that correction, but I will send that to Karen.
So we also have the video too, Alex, too. We can double check if we want.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but no, I know that specifically in the zoning order, and then the agreement that we had with Douglas Development, that there was to be no dancing, and the attorneys for the applicant also had agreed to that, but somehow we didn't get that straight in the language. So I'll send that to Karen this evening, but I will make a motion to approve the minutes subject to the corrections submitted.
Do you have a second?
A second.
Who was that? Oh, Alvin. Okay. Seconded by Alvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alex Marriott says aye. Okay. Alvin?
Aye.
Okay, great. All right. We have the treasurer's report.
All right. So at the end of May, we have an ending balance of $44,545.52. No checks were cashed, obviously, because we have not been writing them. Which, I'm free tomorrow. Would you like to meet up tomorrow or Thursday,
Yes,
Rochelle?
that's fine.
We got some expenses. I'd like to make a motion that ANC 6E approve $250 for Karen Yela for her minute taking and internet maintenance services.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alex says aye. Okay, Alex Patrick goes aye. Alvin?
All right, so
Aye. Okay, great.
All right, so I got a number of expenses here. I'm going to get through them. I got 4 from Rochelle for her Zoom expenses.
And
The
Kinko's.
first, what's that?
And FedEx.
Yep. Well, the first one's for Zoom. The invoice is for $68.89. The invoice is dated 5/26/2020. And I would like to make a motion that ANC 6E approve this expense.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Alvin?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
All right.
Okay.
The Second invoice is for the same amount. The date is, this is for April 26, 2020.
Oh, wait,
The-
Alex wants to say something. Hold on.
oh, sorry. Go ahead. I can't see. I
Alex.
have my email.
Yeah,
Alex.
no, you didn't allow me to vote on the last issue, so I vote aye.
We'll keep Alex unmuted. Go ahead, Alex. Mario.
Yeah, I thought he was going to object to it, and I was like, that's a little rough, Alex.
I need my Zoom money.
So this next one is $68.89, and it's dated April 26, 2020, and this is also for Zoom services.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Kevin?
number 3 of 4. We have this is a invoice for $41.55. This is for FedEx services. What exactly?
So these are the paper copies for both of those. I still do paper for 2 of my communities, Paradise Gardens and
Okay.
the Second Northwest Cooperative. And this
Got it.
month I kind of spread the word even more. So
Great. Okay. I'd like to make a motion that ANC 6E approve an expense for Commissioner Nigro in the amount of $41.55 for distribution of our ANC agenda notice.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Kevin says aye. Great.
All
Okay.
right. We have one last one. This one is in the amount of $31.76 going to Commissioner Nigro for printing services from FedEx to distribute the ANC agenda notice.
Second.
Different month? Which
Yeah,
month?
different months.
This is May 27th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Alvin?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Marriott?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Okay, so now we're coming to the part for any announcements from the commissioners? Commissioner Padro? No? No announcement?
Just
Okay.
just a reminder again to take every opportunity to urge our constituents to complete the census if they have not done so. It is critical that the census be as accurate as possible because there is a direct impact on the funding that is made available from the federal government to support the district budget. So it can be done online, it can be done on paper, it can be done by phone. So if people are obviously still, at home primarily, or working from home, there's no excuse to not complete the census, and it's the law.
Thank you for that reminder. Any other announcements from the commissioners?
Well, for any of my constituents, as you likely know, I've been working with the DC Mutual Aid Network to do a donation drive, and I'm also working with Douglas Development. Please continue to donate through your building. I'm going to do a round of pickups tomorrow in the evening. And thank you so much for those of you who have donated. I dropped a whole bunch of stuff off last week at Museum Square, and we have a number of packages that are going out throughout Ward 6 and also in 7 and 8. So thank you.
Okay, great. Good job, Alex, on that. That's fantastic. Okay, now I'm going to open up the floor. Do we have Michaela? I think you're here on the call. There you go. There you go, Michaela.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michaela Farrell. I am one of Mayor Bowser's Ward 6 liaisons in her Office of Community Relations and Services. I have a few announcements from our office. The first is that Mayor Bowser released her fiscal year 21 budget in mid-May, May 18th, and she presented it to the council. So right now, her proposed budget is with council, and they are hosting hearings about the budget. If you are interested interested in learning about what she proposed and specifically for specific agencies or what some of the highlights in Ward 6, her investments in Ward 6 are, I encourage you to go to our budget website, which is budget.dc.gov, to learn more. Moving on to, I think there was a question about SYEP. I don't know if Aaron is still on. I think he is.
My constituent Aaron, he's still on. Yep,
So
go ahead.
there was a question about SYEP, which is our Summer Youth Employment Program. So this year, because due to COVID-19, the vast majority of the Summer Youth Employment Program will be a virtual experience. And then it will be an online opportunity, including internships for our older participants, 22 to 24. It might be a hybrid of in-person and virtual experience. If you want to learn more about what those changes are for this year, I'm happy to send that information to you directly, or you can go to our DOES website to learn more. There's a fact sheet about what to expect, the program structure, and for some of our youth who may not have devices or may not be connected to the internet, DOES is working with OCTO, our Office of the Chief Technology Officer, to make sure we are connecting those youth and make sure that they are able to have an employment opportunity this summer. So I hope that answers your questions about SYEP. And if you don't, if you need more information, again, I'm happy to share that with you. Lastly, COVID-19, it's still a reality here in the district and around the country. As many of you know, we have started our phased reopening on last Friday. We entered into phase 1 of our reopening plan, of our Reopen DC plan. So what that looks like, as you may have already participated in some of these activities that are now allowed, including going to a salon or a barbershop by appointment only, patronizing or going to some of our restaurants, on having a dinner on their patio, and or playing tennis at one of our DPR tennis courts. Our tennis courts, our dog parks are now open, skate parks are open, as well as DPR operated athletic fields. We are still prohibited in having gatherings more than 10 people in this phase. The next phase will allow larger gatherings, but we are still capped at 10 people per 10 people in a gathering. Again, and I know DPW was planning to join. If you all have any questions for them, that I'm more than happy to reach out to Celeste and the team at DPW if the commission has specific questions that you all wanted to ask.
She was just going to give us an update about her stuff that's going on. So,
and if any of the anyone on the phone or on the web has any questions for me, again, my name is Michaela Farrell, and I encourage you all to reach out to me. My email address is Michaela, that's MIKAELA.Farrell, FERRILL @dc.gov. You can also reach me over the phone, 202-538-1241. Feel free to call, text, email me. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for me?
okay, the commissioners have questions. Jackie, I see your hand up. Okay, so I see you. Let me ask the commissioners to have any questions first. Alex Padro, Alex Marriott. No? Frank?
No.
No.
Nope. Okay. So Jackie, I'm going to unmute you, okay? Go ahead, Jackie. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, got
Yep,
it.
go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Jackie. Is this for Michaela?
No, this is for Alex Pardro.
Oh, okay.
Is that durable at this
Yeah,
point?
go ahead. And does anyone else have any questions for Michaela before we?
I have one question.
Okay, so hold on, Jackie. All right, hang tight.
Michaela, do you have any suggestions for students who just graduated from college but they're going to grad school for the summer?
You got to unmute. There you go. You got to unmute yourself, Michaela.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can now.
So the Summer Youth Employment Program, which goes into to age 24, those applications have passed.
Yeah.
I would encourage, if there are, businesses that are hiring, or if you all, I know UNCF is just outside of the ANC, so just reaching out to them for opportunities. But the district-run youth employment that has, the application was closed back in February.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Okay, and Alex, did you have your hand up to talk to Michaela? Do you need to say something to Michaela?
I was trying to be able to unmute myself so that I could respond to whatever it is that Jackie's going to
Okay,
ask.
so hang on. Let me. I think Tony's got a question for Michaela here. Hold on. Go ahead, Tony.
I was just wondering, does anyone know if street sweeping will start anytime soon as well? What happened? As well, do they know when the DMV is going to open back up?
Sure. So regarding street sweeping, I will have to reach out to Celeste and DPW on that, and I'm going to make a note to follow up with you on that.
Okay.
For DMV, so starting actually today, the Southwest Service Center is open by appointment only for certain certain services. That includes first time or conversion of a DC license or ID card. That includes a learner's permit. The first time or conversion of DC vehicle titling or registration, and a knowledge test. Currently, no vehicle inspection or road tests are being offered.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Know anyone who's interested in that and making an appointment to visit the Southwest Service Center, they can visit dmv.dc.gov.
Okay. Thank you, Michaela.
Thanks, Tony. Any other
Thanks,
questions for Michaela from the mayor's office? Raise your proverbial hand. I see Jackie or anyone else for the mayor's office, or press star 9. Okay, so let me unmute Jackie and let me unmute Alex.
Okay, well, since Michaela is on here, she may be able to help me as well. I need to say thank you, Michaela. After 15 years of trying to get the alley here on the west side of 8th Street cemented, repaired, thank you very much for your assistance in that. My question to both Alex and Michaela, they seem to neglect the west side of 8th Street, tree pruning. We've been waiting for the last 2 years. It seems as though last week they pruned the trees from 8th and P halfway of the block, and they managed to just forgot about the other trees down towards Q Street. And it was my understanding from a neighbor across the street, they didn't cut her tree. So she came along Sunday, and she cut some of the leaves in front of the Ujima school right there at 8th and Q, because people were defecating in the tree box, and they were hidden by some of the limbs and branches. So my question is, how do we get, I put in a request, went through 311. they're saying we can't get service not for 180 days, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, I know that we're not the only people that need servicing, but you know, we've waited for 2 years on this side of the street to have our trees pruned. And right now, the tree that's in front of my house, when it rains, the branches, you know, come down and you have to duck under in order to get down to the street. So how can either one of you, Alex and Michaela, be able to assist in this matter? I think I sent an email to Alex about this.
Yep, so I have your email, and that's the Urban Forestry Administration to address that, but I'm sure that if Michaela puts in a good word, she can help to make that happen faster too. Michaela, I'll share that correspondence with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to work with you. And if it's a public safety, it sounds like there were some activities going on that are public safety concerns, so that can help push things up.
And let me also add that they did cut the tree boxes finally today. I mean, which I know is the neighbors, you know, responsibility, but they went all down 8th Street and cut the tree box, the grass and everything. But they didn't bother to clean it up, you know, so I don't know. Maybe the neighbors will come out, the neighbors whose tree boxes are in front of their house, they'll clean it up, but I doubt it seriously. So with that said, there's 3 things that we're looking for: tree pruning, the grass cutting of the cleanup for the tree boxes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
I will follow up. We'll work together. And I will work together on the tree pruning. I can reach out to DPW about the picking up of the.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Jackie. Any other community announcements during this time from the community? Raise your proverbial hand or press *9. Oh, there's Alex.
Can you please stop muting me? Because
you're the feedback problem, Alex. You're the feedback problem.
I don't know why there's nothing on here other than the light bulb. So no, there were 2 other things. Many folks may not have heard that there were arrests made in the murder on the 600 block of S Street / in Lick Court back in March of Malachi Luke's. So we're very grateful to MPD. We would have talked about that when 3D presented a report, obviously, but they were not available today. So I did want to acknowledge that and to share with folks in the community that have been concerned about that unsolved murder. Arrests have been made. And then also I just wanted to let folks know that if you hadn't noticed, maybe people have not been out, we did suffer quite a substantial amount of damage along 7th and 9th Streets and along K Street as a result of rioting and looting taking place this weekend. Thankfully, it doesn't seem that it was as bad last night, but we had about 30 different businesses that were affected, ranging from broken windows to tens of thousands of dollars of liquor being looted from liquor stores, computers stolen from businesses including restaurants, and even arsons in the neighborhood. So our businesses are going to be, that we're already suffering substantially from the closures related to the mayor's order on the COVID-19 pandemic, are even going to be suffering even more as a result of these losses. Hopefully many of them will be coverable by insurance. But when you're able to get out again, or if you're ordering takeout from some of our restaurants, if you're in a position to do that, please continue to do that so that some of these businesses have some chance of surviving. It's very possible that other than restaurants that have outdoor seating or are able to create some modest outdoor seating through street closures, that the ANC will be involved in approving in the near future, that other than takeout, these restaurants primarily will have no capacity to seat people indoors this year. So if folks care about having neighborhood restaurants and other kinds of businesses, please do patronize them when you can.
I second Commissioner Padro. We had some damage done at 655 New York Avenue. So to new places that haven't opened yet and to places that are already there. So as I second Alex, please support these businesses whenever you can. Okay, any other community comments? Raise your hand, proverbial hand, or press *9. Oh, hold on, Jackie. There you go, Jackie. Unmute yourself.
I just want to say I've been in this neighborhood for 31 years, and I just want to say thank you to the growth that I have seen from all of the ANC commissioners and all of the good work that you all have done. So I applaud all of you. Thank you very much for your services.
Well, thanks, Jackie. That's great. And thank you. Thanks to our wonderful constituents. All right, so let me move that we close this meeting. I move that we adjourn the June 2nd ANC 6E meeting. Do I have a second from the commissioners?
Second.
Frank seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Our next meeting is going to be July 7th on Tuesday. I once again want to give a big shout out to my co-hosts, Ed and Marcus. Clearly what happened today, I apologize for profusely on behalf of the commission, but I could not have run this meeting without them. So please, Ed and Marcus, you guys are great. This is why I have two co-hosts, folks. This is why you need two people to run these meetings. So, all right. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. Okay.
Thank you.
Good work, guys.
Take care, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.